Well, a little behind schedule. Apologies for that. But it is 27 degrees Celsius in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily, your daily dose of sunshine. I'm Maukwe Ogun Yusuf.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Kayla Megwa. We have quite a program for you today. Lots of things to discuss. Of course, we'll start off with tracking some of the major events, but we are getting an update on what's going on with the People's Democratic Party first this morning.
Indeed, and our correspondent, Friday Okerigbe, who covers the People's Democratic Party, is in the studio for us this morning. Friday, you're not at the Wadata Plaza. Neither are you in Ibadan. What exactly is happening with the PDP?
Thank you, Maukwe and Kela. The Wadata is under lock and key.
It is.
So no reporter will actually be at Wadata at this time. And like you said, most of the reporters that cover PDP are supposed to be planning to be in Ibadan, where the convention is. I'm careful not to use the word supposed to take place because I understand that it's also taking place, but the atmosphere is not the one of consensus among members of the party.
Okay, so, well, I know that our correspondent, Bukola Oriowo, is in Ibadan, and we know that we'll be hearing from her when, activities are really underway. Yesterday, we saw President Olusegun Obasanjo in Ibadan, and it does appear, even though he's since torn his membership card of the PDP.
And he's not been saying anything since the recent development surrounding the planned convention. He's not said anything.
But we've been saying that some leaders have been going to the venue of the convention, and we understand that some other, governors should be making their way down to the venue of the PDP convention. Have there been any talk among some of the leaders, some of the known leaders of the PDP?
Yes, I think one of the most recent of such discussion is the Reconciliation Committee led by Ambassador Adamu, talking of the BOT committee on the side of Damagun. Wike also had another BOT that was set up recently led by one Ohaboa, who is also a member of the party. Of course, he was a presidential aspirant at the time. So that's why I'm being careful. I'm using the word. The BOT, this one that met with Saraki yesterday, is the one led by Damagun. And they had a discussion with the former Senate President, Bukola Saraki. The aim was to get the buy-in of some of these leaders of the party to see how they can resolve the issues surrounding the convention. But I understand that the former Senate President did recommend that instead of going ahead with the convention because of the legal implications or what could be the outcome, which nobody can actually predict as they speak now, he suggested that they should set up a caretaker committee. However, the conversation I've had with other correspondents in states where the PDP is ruling, like in Adamawa, in Bauchi, it shows that the governors on the side of the convention are insisting that the convention will go on. Like you said earlier on, the feelers from Ibadan is that the convention ground is prepared already, set for the convention to take place on Saturday because it's actually scheduled for Saturday and Sunday.
I want to be able to get your thoughts on some of the dangers of this situation, because it does seem like the PDP has two factions, whether they want to admit it or not. There are two.
So we are being careful not to use the word faction.
But that's the truth. We have two board of trustees.
Sure.
We have
two
NWCs. We have two national secretaries.
Sure.
So while we have all of that going, what are the dangers of that sort of thing on their chances come 2027?
Well, I think that should be left in the realm of those who are in the legal space. However, if we go by the history of the party from when I started covering the party, I would say, well, it has a whole lot of legal implication. Remember in 2016 and 2017, a similar scenario played out between Marakafi and Alimodu Sheriff. After the 2015 general election, when PDP lost out at the center, that is presidency, Alimodu Sheriff came in as an acting national chairman. Remember, the then national chairman of the party resigned after the election. Alimodu Sheriff was the acting national chairman in that 2016, who was supposed to lead the party to a convention. And then there was a planned convention in Port Harcourt. Alimodu Sheriff and some members who were loyal to him suspended that plan. They postponed the convention, and that caused problem in the party. Now, the party split into two. As we have it now, it's split into two. There were some who believed that the convention should have held. Alimodu Sheriff believed that no, the convention shouldn't hold. So he split the party into two. In fact, they went to court. Now, in the Court of Appeal, Alimodu Sheriff was recognized as the acting chairman of the party. Meanwhile, the party already had Markafi as a caretaker committee chairman because the convention they had planned didn't hold, right? So the two parties were claiming leadership of the party. It continued until July 2017, before the Supreme Court ruled that Markafi is the authentic leader of the party. And then that ended the struggle of who is the leader and who is not the leader, right? But events have evolved since 2017. Remember the last, most recent Supreme Court judgment that said party affairs should be resolved in the party. That's why I'm being careful as to what would be the legal implication at the end of the day. But maybe to say it should be left in the realm of those who are in that space. But if you go by the recent judgment of the Supreme Court that talks about party issues to be resolved by party, it's not something to be brought to court. It's difficult for one to say what will happen at the end of the day. And I want to believe that is the spirit that the former Senate president had when he was advising the reconciliation, the BOT reconciliation team that met with him yesterday.
That's Bukola Saraki.
Yes. He advised them that in the light of what is playing out, nobody can confidently say this is what will happen at the end of the day. Instead of going ahead with the convention and maybe wasting funds or wasting people's time, why not set up a caretaker committee and let the caretaker committee drive the leadership of the party for a time when reconciliation is done, and then the party go into a convention as a holistic party. But there's also a danger there. Remember, the party is already split into two. We have those who are on the side of Senator Samuel Anyanwu and Wike, the FCT minister. We also have those who are on the side of the national chairman, Damagun, and his own NWC. So if you are to form a caretaker committee, who forms the caretaker committee?
To be in it? Yeah.
So that's a whole lot of stuff.
Big questions, Friday. We certainly will keep tabs with you, as you also keep tabs on the PDP. We also understand that the minister will be briefing today. Do you think it is connected with what is happening in the PDP or this recent debacle?
The minister of FCT is hardly predictable, but you can be sure that he would speak about the development in the party. I'm sure, because the series of media chats he had recently, there is no way he will not talk about the PDP. So we'll look forward to hear what he will say. I understand that briefing will come up at 12
noon today. And it will be broadcast live. So for those who will be wanting to, keep tabs on what is happening, we certainly will bring you those visuals live. But we have to thank you, our correspondent, Friday Okerigbe, who also covers the PDP as well as a number of other beats. Thank you so much for coming on the program to give us a brief of what is happening with the PDP. Well, we will take a break at this point. When we come back, we will be taking a look at what the president told the editors yesterday. The editors, well, it's called the Editors, is it the Editors Guild? Nigerian Guild of Editors. Yeah. They are in Abuja at the moment holding their conference, and yesterday they were at the Villa. Very interesting discussions happened. We'll be bringing on that particular matter, as well as a number of other issues. I mean, there's still reactions flowing from the debacle between the FCT minister and military officials at the property of a former chief of naval staff. In just a moment, don't go away.
Editors Conference, organized by the Nigerian Guild of Editors. This is the first time a sitting president will be attending the conference. And this year, the focus is on the role of editors in democratic governance and national cohesion. The conference also attracts some state governors, members of the Federal Executive Council, aides of the President, heads of federal agencies, leaders of media organizations, including top managers from Channels Television, past and present leadership of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, and traditional rulers, amongst others, who have converged to exchange ideas and examine issues of governance as well as national development. The Guild uses the opportunity to state their requests to the President.
Corporate tax relief. That's for between 5 to 10 years, which will enable media houses to stabilize, meet operating costs, and sustain their watchdog role. Number 2, sir, VAT exemption. In recognition of its social responsibility role, the media should be exempted from VAT on essential tools and equipment.
The keynote speaker of the conference is Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State. He examines the strategic role of editors in promoting electoral integrity.
Knowing you, editors and gatekeepers, choose narratives that amplify division, because division drives sales. You feel the polarization and make your own work even harder. Post-2023, trust fractured because the narratives around the election became tribal, fragmented, and in some cases, inflammatory.
His views are re-echoed by the Minister of Information and National Orientation.
As we deliberate here today, I charge you, my colleagues, to see yourselves as essential partners in national renewal. The government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has demonstrated its faith in you through his actions, not just his words. We invite you, therefore, to engage, to critique constructively, and to report with utmost responsibility.
On his part, President Bola Tinubu urged the editors to discharge their responsibilities with national interest above personal interests.
As editors and managers of the national information space, you shape narratives, you influence public understanding, you decide what becomes national focus and how our collective challenges are interpreted. The weight of that responsibility is extremely significant. It must be exercised with wisdom, fairness, and a strong sense of national duty.
He reaffirms his commitments to the development of Nigeria.
Yes, we are challenged by terrorism, banditry, and others. We recognize that. Are we doing something about it? Are we inspiring the armed forces? Are we encouraging them to fight? They put their lives on the line to defend the national sovereignty of this country. It is our responsibility.
The highlight of the event is the presentation of plaques to the Minister of Information, Governor Hope Uzodinma, and President Bola Tinubu in recognition of their support to the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Daily Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
Well, we do have one of the members of the Guild of Editors here who was at that meeting yesterday. Was it a conference on show now? or conference? And he's right here in our studios. Mr. Ehi Brima is the publisher, editor-in-chief of Niger Times. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's good to see you in person, not on Zoom.
I do Zoom in Lagos. I'm here in Abuja, so I'm here.
So good to see you.
Thank you.
I heard when I say you, I mean the Nigerian Guild of Editors being referred to as the last man standing, sharing the same epithet with the president when he was called by Mr. Tony Elumelu as the last man standing. But, you know, when I listened to a host of the things that the keynote speaker said, I was wondering whether the editors there, you know, agreed with a lot of the things that he said, the responsibilities that have now been placed on their shoulders, saying that we amplify division because we want to drive sales. Trust was fractured. Arguments became tribal post-2023 elections, and it would seem that a lot of it is at the feet of the editors. Do you agree with that?
Certainly not. What the Hope Uzodimma, the governor of Imo State, basically did yesterday was to call out Nigerian editors. And he believed strongly that we have a role to play, not to amplify divisions, because that basically was an accusation. I think overall, the context of that presentation was forging strategic partnership with the Nigerian media, between the state and the media, and to see how that is possible in the context of, one, not doing propaganda for government, and truly holding government accountable, as we have it in Section 22 of our Constitution. You know, upholding fundamental state principles, and of course, holding government accountable, you know, to the people. So we must situate the two. There are two different things, and I think the governor of Imo State needs to understand that. The media will report the news as it happens, as it breaks. It doesn't matter whether it is good news or bad news. And it is when you report bad news, it makes government officials very uncomfortable, even if it is the truth. We just have to embrace the truth. You know, that even Osman Danfodio said many years ago that conscience is an open wound. Only what truth can heal it. So the relationship between the government and the media must be situated in a strategic partnership that understands that our role is important, one, to promote democracy, two, hold government accountable. What they're doing. Now, for example, if there is voter inducement, the voters are induced, giving money, or what we call voter buying, the media should report it if we have the evidence. Even if it is not going to be very, very good, you know, to the ears and to the eyes of those in government. Or if we have crisis in the different parties as we currently have it, the media has to report it, tell the story as it is. So, but of course, we also understand the media has a responsibility to protect and promote democracy. But the context of the president's speech yesterday, president of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, Eze Anamba, was more about a media that is in crisis cannot promote democracy. A media that is threatened, survival is threatened, cannot make democracy to thrive. So we need to come together as partners to ensure that the media, as they tell their stories, the government is also doing the right thing. What is important is to always do the right thing.
Listening to the events yesterday, it did feel like a scolding. A subtle scolding.
Yes, he basically called out the editor.
Yes, it did feel like a subtle scolding. But let's talk about the president attending this for the very first time, because that was very important. Do you think that that is in line with some of the recent events that we're facing? Some of the, maybe the editors are being blamed maybe for some of the narratives that went out there that led to Donald Trump and what he's saying and a lot of the angst people have against the Tinubu administration?
No, not exactly. I think we must thank Mr. President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for attending the, in fact, he declared the conference open yesterday. We must give him credit, you know, for showing up. In fact, first time a sitting president will be attending the conference of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, where this is the 21st edition. The very first one was in 2004 in Idah in Osun State, when Malam Baba Dantier was the president of the guild. You know, so I think it is significant. We are grateful to Mr. President for, you know, sitting with us. Over 400 members of the guild were there yesterday. Today is day 2. And but to answer your question, this rapport or relationship between the media and the state, it is not just because we want to play to the gallery. It is important that they understand our position and our needs, and also understand their own position and see how we can have a common ground, basically.
That thing the president said about criticize, but let's build a nation. That line.
The president said so many things. In fact, in paragraph 8 of his speech yesterday, I think that's the one you're referring to.
Yeah.
He talked about don't tear down. Tear down means don't pull down this country. Let's build the nation together, nation building. But what is the task of nation building belongs to everyone, not only the government official, those in power, or the media. We all need to come together. I've always promoted, you know, that theory that we all have to work together as Nigerians to build a better country. So if the president is saying, let us build a better society or a better country, how are we having strong institutions? But what we have are strong individuals, not strong institutions. How do you build a society where you have very weak institutions?
But very strong individuals.
Yes. How do you build a society where people just jump from one party to another party without consequences? How do you see parties just falling apart like a pack of cards? You know, some of the parties just deceive themselves. They actually think they're deceiving Nigerians. You know, so we must understand that partnership, as I said previously, we must situate it in the context of building a better country. And the media playing their role, the government people, they have to also play their role very well. But I must be very honest, they're not going far enough. And that's the truth. Whether it is in the different areas of governance. Yeah.
This meeting, this conference is very important. And some people will say that it underscores once again the role of the media in our society, in our democracy. However, we do know that the landscape has changed. And I think that the president even acknowledged that, you know, realizing that it will seem that, I don't want to call them a splinter, but they are now coexistors within the media landscape, the existence of social media, where, according to the president, everybody has now become a potential publisher. You can choose not to exercise your right as a publisher. I don't know, how big a threat or an opportunity do you think this presents within the context that we're looking at?
The president is right. Social media has now made it possible for everyone to become a potential publisher. The president himself is very familiar with how the media works. Whether it is radio, whether it is television, whether it is newspaper, and now in the age of the social media. So I think we need to honestly use the social media responsibly. What you see these days, a lot of information, disinformation, misinformation have been enabled by the abuse, in fact, of social media. And I think maybe that's why government is also very much interested in using the cybercrime laws. But I must say in one or two states, they have not been properly used, where media, practitioners have been arrested or their radio stations, closed down and stuff like that. So we don't need that. The Honorable Minister of Information, I must also give him some credit. Mohammed Idris, because I think he convinced Mr. President to join us yesterday. He, too, has been a very good friend of the media. And the point he was making to yesterday, which aligns with what Mr. President also said, was that we should come together and use media responsibly. But the social media basically is like out of control. There are those who use social media, to amplify stories, because that's basically what you do with social media. But how are those stories told? There's no government that will want negative stories all the time. You have seen a lot of posts on social media. Most of them are truly negative. Some deliberately demarketing Nigeria. That's not where I personally stand. Let us tell the stories, whether it is traditional media or social media, using the digital media, positively for this country. But at the same time, reminding government where they don't do things right, whether it has to do with budget implementation, whether it has to do with electoral integrity, and so on and so forth. The media must report those things.
No, we are actually in a very tight corner, as it is traditional media and social media, because it does appear that trust in the media, conventional media, is eroding very gradually, especially with the advent of social media. And a lot of people on social media are beginning to think that, conventional media doesn't have their best interest at heart, or, it's covering up too much, so to speak. Do you think that meetings like this reinforce those kinds of perceptions about the media being in bed with, the authorities, as the case might be?
No, the media is not an adversary of the government. No. What is important is for the media to understand their rules, constitutional rules, which is basically to hold government accountable. But how well are we doing that? I think that's a different conversation. It's not whether it is traditional media. But I must also confess that some of our media organizations are doing very well in telling the stories, how they should be told, exposing corruption through investigative journalism. We know the recent case of, a minister who lied under oath, which is perjury, it's a crime. But the thing we should worry about is when these crimes are exposed, what happens next? are there, prosecutions, or the people just walk away scot-free, So we tend to always sweep things under the carpet, as which the optics are not right in that regard. So if we want to build a better country, as the president alluded to yesterday, we must join hands together and be honest with each other. We must tell ourselves the truth, no matter how bitter or how hard, to swallow, that truth is. So I think that is where I will like to anchor that.
In discussing misinformation and looking at social media, isn't the president talking to the wrong people when he gets editors together to talk about misinformation? Because the bulk of the misinformation out there, we have to be honest about this, is coming from people who are using social media to make money. And it's a different landscape. There's rage bait now, where people put out a false story, a false headline, just so people can click, knowing that you make money for clicks. How do you regulate that? How do you get people to do the right thing if they found a loophole where they can, put wrong information out there and make a lot of money from it? Many of them are not in this country. You can't catch them. So how do you regulate that? Getting the Guild of Editors together, yes, it's a good thing. But, if we're going to really look at it really critically, we are in a dicey situation with all these false headlines that are out there. Is there something that can be done about that? Or is that something that the Guild of Editors can even do anything about?
The issue of social media, I think, is an ongoing conversation. Most of those posts, some of them are not even from Nigeria.
Yes.
They're outside of our boundaries. But I think the focus will still be using media responsibly, as I said, whether it is social media or traditional media. The role of the media, essentially, there is to continue to highlight fake stories or a story. And now some of these organizations, they have sections now where they, basically say this story is false. It is fake news. The more we do all of that and call out these, promoters of fake news, what I call merchants of fake news, the more we get better. On the other hand, you might have this cybercrime laws. But that will be basically targeted at content that originates from Nigeria, because some of these fake news or misinformation, they are not just even propagated by Nigerians only. You have people from other parts of the world who, for whatever reason, maybe selective framing, just target Nigeria. So I think there must be a systematic way of dealing with fake news and calling out the merchants of fake news.
All right, let's switch gears now, because quite a lot has been happening in our country in the last couple of days. Can I say you snooze, you lose? In this country.
You can't go to bed in Nigeria. You wake up and everything has happened.
You snooze, you lose. You wake up and, it will seem that everything happened in the blink of an eye. Let's start with the upcoming convention of the PDP. Our correspondent, Friday Okirigbe, already brought us up to speed. It's unclear if it will go ahead, because we saw another court injunction, will I say, court ruling, was it 2 days ago, in favor of Governor Sule Lamido of Jigawa, former Governor Sule Lamido of Jigawa, who had protested the fact that he couldn't buy a form and went to court to, ask the court to tell them to hold on with that convention until his matter is heard. And then we're also seeing, of course, before that time, there were already courts of concurrent jurisdiction giving rulings here and there. Some say go ahead, some say hold it. As an editor, watching this drama, I know you already alluded to it, the fact that political parties are falling like a pack of cards. What are your thoughts? What are your honest thoughts with what exactly is going on within the PDP? Did we ever think that we will see this day, especially after the PDP did brag that they were going to
be in power for 60 years?
60 years.
Well, I think what's happening in the PDP, for me, it is shameful. It is offending and very annoying. But politicians will always be who they are. They cannot be trusted. There are always betrayers here and there. I think it's just the name of the game. But a party that is supposed to stand up strongly as an opposition party to the All Progressive Congress that is currently in power, you can see that what is going on is premeditated. There was a grand design from 2 years ago for the PDP not to stand strongly as a party. Because if you want to rank all the parties, PDP is supposed to be the #1 opposition party in Nigeria today. But look at even all the other parties. They have one problem after another. I begin to wonder and ask, what is really going on with our politicians? But to focus on the PDP and how the courts are being used, I think it is a big threat to our democracy. You get one judgment today in one court. The next day, you are getting a judgment from another court, what the lawyers call coordinate jurisdiction. How that is a recipe for disaster, for crisis. Are you getting me? So we cannot even trust the judgment coming out from the courts anymore, because it's like judgments are being procured. I think I would like to be proved wrong, but it's not the first time it is happening. You go to one state, you get a judgment in your favor. The other party, they go to another state, they get judgment in their favor. It's madness. It's pure madness. And what is this craze for political power? It is obviously for influence, to be in control of resources, and then to show that they are very important people. So the PDP, it is a house of commotion, and of course there are some very important people in that PDP that I think ideally we should respect them, either for what they have done in the past, or their experience, and the work that they believe they can do for the party. So PDP, whether the convention will hold, honestly, I don't know.
Do you see a way out for them, though?
I don't. When they're always having two blocks, you're having one chairman here, you have another chairman here. Today, we read that INEC, recognized Damagun as chairman of the party. The next day, you're getting, another court saying the convention cannot hold. So I think they should just come together and tell themselves some home truth and say this nonsense, madness has got to stop. But they will not do that. And how did this crisis begin? We must understand that when the former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, didn't get the ticket, when they had their convention, I think, I can't remember the state, now up north, that was when this whole crisis started. Okay?
They didn't get what ticket? Presidential ticket?
The presidential ticket.
That happened here in Abuja.
No, I think that, okay, then in Abuja here. Yes. I think that was when Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the former vice president, and Ifeanyi Okowa became the candidate. So between that time and now, the party has not rested. People keep asking the question, how can one man hold a party to ransom for so long? Yesterday we were having this conversation. Somebody said it should have been dismissed from the party a long time ago. So I don't know how much he did to support the party financially or individuals, I don't know. But it is clear that it is Wike that has been controlling that party. And all the shenanigans that have happened in the party, all his loyalists, starting from the group of 5, of course, you can understand now that the governor of your state is no longer part of the G5. I think he has his own ambition. I don't know if it's a game, like a chess game. Who knows where Governor Seyi Makinde is standing in those hopes ahead of 2027 elections. He says he's likely to contest. He has not said yes. But we'll see how it goes. But the PDP is a complete disgrace to our democracy.
What about the emergence of the ADC? We don't seem to hear much of that party these days.
Again, a lot of people thought that was going to be a viable opposition, since PDP was just like falling like a pack of cards, as I said. But now they've suddenly gone quiet. Don't forget that the ruling party too, they also are having their strategy, to win in 2027. So let everybody just go back and do their homework correctly. We definitely need a viral opposition in Nigeria, opposition party. But we don't have that right now. If the elections were conducted today, of course, the APC will win 100%.
There are other factors in play when it comes to the PDP here. I was speaking recently to someone who is being rumored to leave the PDP recently. And what he asked me was, who's going to sign my form? Who is the national secretary of the party? Does this also mean that many people who have political ambitions in the People's Democratic, we might see more defections? Because if we're still dealing with this at the end of 2025, who's going to sign your form? And how do you know that the person that signed it will be the person in office in 2027?
So is it just about ambition?
Yes. For politicians, yes. It is.
But there are those who have been in PDP all this year, they didn't leave the party. And I think they should have stayed back and make the party a stronger party. But the crisis, as I said, was state managed, clearly. And you can see that the person, and we will say it, and I will say it, that has been responsible for this crisis is the former governor of Rivers State, whether he likes to hear it or not. But clearly you can see is supporting Mr. President for 2027. So I said it before on China's TV too that he has almost 2 legs in APC and the other half in PDP. So what's the point? But as I defect to APC, that's my own honest advice to Yinson Wike. Because let's be very honest, the way politicians have defected, whether governors or those in National Assembly to APC, it doesn't want to. Nigerians will not take them seriously. They just believe they're just playing games with us. At Dr. Ruben Abate's book event last Friday, it was Matthew Fadekuka, who was the guest speaker, that said, this nonsense cannot happen in a place like Ghana. Because in Ghana, if you leave your party, elections will be conducted within 42 days, and you, the defector, cannot take part in that election. So can we have, such a law here in Nigeria? Would the lawmakers even agree to something like that? Well, so that would introduce some kind of control, and don't just jump from party to party as if we are playing a Ludo game.
Well, we know that electoral reforms are currently underway. Perhaps that might be something we all can begin to push for.
I think we should look at that strongly. Yeah. The defections have become too laughable.
Indeed. Well, Mr. Hiram, I wish we had a little more time, to take you up on a number of other issues, especially as we know that the Minister of the FCT will be briefing today at 12 noon. But we know that we'll catch up again with you, be it on Zoom or in person. But it was good to see you in our studios this morning. Mr. Hey Ibrahima is the publisher, editor-in-chief of Niger Times. Thank you once more for coming on.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure to be here.
Well, we're switching gears now, and we're going to be talking football. Yes, our team, the Super Eagles, is getting ready to qualify for the World Cup, and of course we're rooting for them. Don't forget that there had been a protest before now, but it does appear that that protest has now been shelved. They say all the differences have been resolved, and we'll be talking about that matter in just a moment as to whether or not we can still make it through the playoffs. Please stay with us. Well, I don't know if you saw what I just saw.
I just saw it right now.
Of that break, there's supposed to be some breaking news. It's unclear if that is from all the factions, but that is the national secretary. He was suspended some time ago. It's unclear whether he's really speaking on behalf of the party. But you saw what we saw. It was an advert placed by the People's Democratic Party saying that the convention scheduled for this weekend will no longer hold, appealing to their members to be calm and apologizing to them, saying that it's as a result of the November 11 judgment given by Justice Peter Lifo. So we'll wait and see if there will be any counter advert in that regard, but that's what we've just seen, and whether there'll be any news. It's coming to us as news. We're watching it just as you were watching it. So we'll wait and see what the reactions to that will be. But that is the advert that the PDP, the People's Democratic Party, has placed out there, signed by its national secretary, Mr. Samuel Senator. Yeah, Samuel Ayam. Well, I did say we're switching gears to football. So football it is. Nigeria is currently in Morocco trying to qualify for the World Cup through playoff games. And initially there had been a protest. They refused to show up for training at camp. But it does appear that all of that has now been sorted, and we saw them in practice yesterday. Did you have palpitations? Well, joining us right now is Mr. Peterside Idah, who is an ex-Nigerian international, and he's joining us from Port Harcourt, I believe. Mr. Idah, I'm sure that you were very, very happy to see the team back on the field yesterday practicing. But before that, did you have palpitations when you heard that the team was refusing to practice as a result of protest, backlog of payments that also have been given to them and was not given to them all of this time?
Well, this is not new. And we've been part of this protest over the years. It's been happening and happening, and I think it will keep happening. It's just a disconnect between the NFF and the players. So a lot of people are complaining. I am on a lot of pages, and people are saying these players are holding us to ransom. I've always come to this understanding that the NFF, or the people that run our football, have failed to understand that football is about the players, not about the management, not about the NFF president or whoever runs our football. It's all about the players themselves. And if these players are not happy or things are not in order, they will not perform. And it affects every one of us that support them. Yes, the news came as a surprise, because the news we've been getting over the months and weeks is that everything is beautiful in the national camp. There are bills have been paid. But remember the NFF president coming out and saying some months ago, that they had a backlog of debts that had to be cleared, and his board have just cleared those debts. So we are really surprised. Not this time. We felt we were cruising. The last game we played against Benin Republic was fantastic. We got 4 goals, and we should have maintained that momentum. To come and hear this, even at this time and this age, is quite unfortunate.
Indeed, I mean, we really did rout Benin Republic, and I think for a number of people, it woke us up. It showed that, we still had what it took to qualify for the World Cup. I think what we're putting up right now is a tweet by the team captain, William Truce Ekonga, who says, issue resolved, outstanding financials cleared, and on ground. Team is united in capitals and focused on winning focused as before on representing Nigeria in capital letters again with our maximum for the games ahead. Are you sharing their optimism with them this morning that they indeed, through this playoffs, we will be appearing at the 2026 World Cup?
Well, it depends. It depends on the performances or the performance of the players. Again, I've been in this situation. I know what it takes. We had a game. I was in goal for Nigeria against Sierra Leone. We have the same squabbles about payment of allowances and bonuses, and we held meetings till about, I remember I went to sleep by 20 minutes past 4 in the morning for a game that was supposed to be played at 5 o'clock in the evening. It affected every one of us, and the outcome of that result was that we lost to Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone of all countries, we lost to Sierra Leone. You see, the preparation of every player prepares mentally before they get into the game. You do this job, you're a journalist, you get your facts, you get your figures, you prepare, before every presentation. The same way it happens in football. The psychological part is the most powerful part of it. Every footballer plays the game a day or two before every match. We've had instances where we've gotten into this situation and it's never turned out very well for us. We remember sometime in the World Cup of 1998 or thereabout, where we had to play Sweden. And all we needed was to win Sweden to get into the next round. There was monetary issues and debates, and the team again slept at 4 o'clock. These meetings are held quite late in the night. And it affected the players, and we lost to Sweden 4-0. We don't need this kind of distraction. And again, like I said, I am on the side of the players because I played to that level. The truth about it is that these issues are always allowed to linger. You don't do that. We played our last game. We knew we were going to go. We had qualified almost 2 months ago now that we're going to play this tournament. So what were they doing? Did they take out time to discuss with the players and trash out things like this before allowing the players to get to the camp and you start discussing this? A lot of things need to change in our football, running of our football, the management of our football needs to be gotten right. And again, we wish them all the best. I want Nigeria to qualify. I have my passport ready to travel to Americas to go watch the World Cup. It's quite unfortunate. I've always told people the last World Cup was in Qatar. And I traveled. I was in South Africa then. I traveled to Qatar to go watch Ghana versus some country, I think Portugal. And at the end of the game, we were all trooping out of the stadium because they saw I was a black man. People were saying, they were hailing me and saying, up Ghana, up Ghana. That day I cried. I regretted being a Nigerian.
Oh, no.
Where people were hailing me up Ghana, not Ghana. You can say up Angola or something, but not Ghana.
No. So let's talk, Mr. Peterside, let's talk about our position right now. So we're playing Gabon today.
Yeah.
It's the playoff semi-finals in Morocco. If they win, they'll face either Cameroon or DR Congo in the final. Then the winner of that final will then go to the intercontinental playoffs, where they'll face teams from other continents for the final World Cup slot. So that's where we are right now. Looking at the play of the Super Eagles, some people have said it's been up and down. How do you think our chances are?
No, naturally we should win. We've had, in the last 41 years, we've played games against Gabon, and they've only beaten us once. So we have an advantage. And we're Nigeria. I've always said this. I'm so proud to be from this great country. We produce potential. We have everything we need to succeed. It's just the management of it that is the problem. We should beat Gabon. I do think we should beat Gabon. The next game is what matters. Again, that's why this game is so vital, that the minds of the players should have been very ready. And we, like I said, we're coming from a 4-goal victory, which we had not scored goals over the years, over the weeks or months. And we got to that momentum where we scored against South Africa, and we scored 4 goals against Benin. We just carried it on, which I hope we will do. Thank God we have a talisman in Osman that is scoring goals. And I think we would win. We will struggle initially, but we should win. I don't like predicting results because I'm not a soothsayer, but I think we should come out victorious in this.
I was actually going to get to that. I was going to say, give us a prediction if you think that we can win this. Do you have any?
I don't like to give predictions because most times people use my prediction to play bet 6 or double. When they don't win, they
start to blame you.
Yeah, they send messages to my pages and say, "But we followed you, an expert. You predicted that this would happen." So I keep off it and I say Nigeria should win, and whatever anyone wants to decide, that's their decision. But I think we should win. It's going to be tough, but we should win against Gabon.
Well, we're wishing our team all the very best. I do know that one of the things that you said that really bothers me is the fact that we've had this challenge with, with allowances, and you say that if we don't do something drastic, it will continue to happen. We sincerely hope that that is not the case, that, somebody does something that will at least puncture a hole in that prediction, which we do not like. But we have to thank you always for joining us and sharing your thoughts, even as we all wish our Super Eagles the very best as they engage in this playoffs. Thank you so much, Mr. Peterside.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Well, that's where we draw the curtain on today's program of Sunrise Daily. You'll be seeing Kayla and I tomorrow, God willing. Thank you so much for being a part of the program. Have
a great day ahead. I'm Kayla Magwa.
Top of the hour is Business Morning.